All right, so I'm joined by my good friend Basher here. And both of us, we come from the background where we used to podcast on the regular. And I don't remember exactly why you stopped. Like, for me, it wasn't that I ran out of quality conversation. It was just kind of like building up the following came to be pretty taxing, to like really make the hustle, really grow. And podcasting in general became more oversaturated than ever. And then, the quality guests I got, the good conversations I had, I really didn't feel like I was paying it forward. So I stopped. But back when I was doing the circuit, I know you were doing gaming. For me, I was doing like a whole range of things, whether it's like fitness, life, motivation, dating. I feel like what's going on right now is definitely more important than any of those topics. Racial divide, right now, the big thing is Asian American hate. And while I'm always down and open to tough, deep, quality conversations, it was kind of like to your nudging, like your push that, okay, we'll finally start doing this. But kind of like the big thing that you kind of launched it off with was you said like our friendship is a little different. And Basher's off camera, but he's black. I'm Asian, but I don't disagree with you, but when you said like our friendship is different, what what exactly do you mean? What's going through your mind?
What I mean by different is the sense that uh, because the thing about coaches in this country is like when people come over here, they bring like America might be one of the few countries where you move to and you bring your culture with you.
Hmm.
Like usually you have to assimilate, you have to learn their language, you have to learn their way, their customs, but here is a little bit different. So as a Black American, we really don't. And I grew up in Cambridge, by the way, Cambridge, Massachusetts. So
Oh,
super diverse place. Even then, like you don't grow up with a lot of Asian friends because Asian people stick to their Asian culture. They have it. Like, you can't go anywhere in this country without having a Chinatown, for example. Like
hmm,
Asian people, like other groups of people, stick together. The Black community is kind of this open, urban, quote unquote, environment where people just come in and out as they kind of please. So growing up, I didn't. We don't have a lot of Asian. We don't have a lot of Asian friends. At least I didn't. So our friendship isn't like the normal kind of I'm a black American and Asian American, and then we happen to cross paths like on a tea somewhere. Like, no, we met under this podcasting circumstance where
hmm.
we just interviewed the same person happened by happy chance. So so I would say we didn't really have any of the cultural kind of uh bars to jump over. I don't think it was just kind of like just by some random. You did this podcast with this person. I did so too, and then kind of clicked from there.
Yeah, united by like hobbies and interests versus like happen chance of like bumping into each other and like thinking about like what that cultural or racial type of situation might be because I get what you're saying. I mean, like in college for me, I was definitely way more like weeaboo, honestly. And growing up in the South, where I was Asian and majority of my friends were white, trying to like find some more of those Asian connections. And oh man, like with like all this Asian American stuff, it's so freaking complicated. So I think it might not end up being as organized of a discussion or thought as we might have thought. But
Oh, not at all.
part of doing this podcast is I want to make it as real and authentic as possible because like part of my gripe, like one of the good things that people are saying online is it needs more discussion. More people need to be talking about it, right? But it kind of needs to be this kind of meandering, ugly, sort of unfocused conversation because that's what is real, not this like neat, tidy, packaged up conversation where woke people can just like pat themselves on the back for being more woke or like racist people can just like double down and just like keep being racist. There's a lot of gray area and I don't think that's being discussed as much and I think that's why it resonated with me when you were initially pitching um, talking about our dynamic and maybe like leading with that because on the flip side, I can also say that I don't think I have like that many black friends either. And I don't know in general, like, why would I speak for the whole of Asian people? But I want to say that there's probably a tendency for Asian people to not have as many black friends, or if they do, they go like full on out and they
Oh,
almost like try to
absolutely,
assimilate into black culture, right?
absolutely.
Down to the dress or the way they speak, or I mean, like I've seen Asian people drop the N word too, you know?
I mean that's and it's expected. Going back to what I said, like because being black in America means unless like and I'm not speaking for the more violent areas in the country like West Side Chicago. I mean like when they say like whenever someone says urban, we know that's dog so for black.
Mm,
So like the urban areas really are these kind of I would compare more to like a like going on a safari, you know, like
okay.
where it's like this, where it's like it's an open thing. You
Mm-hmm.
kind of drive through it and you experience it that way. But so that's why when sometimes when you have Asian people or white people, any other color people have a lot of black friends, it's usually because they're in or near that urban environment and they fully assimilate and they're free to they feel free to and at any point in time they can leave that environment whereas it's different for other communities because I just I mean I can but realistically, I'm not just going down to Chinatown to get an apartment. You know,
Right.
like it's weird. It's not unacceptable. It's not racist. It's none of that. It's just awkward. Like when you grow up in an urban environment, you kind of tend to stay there. You kind of essentially stuck there in some cases. So I mean, it makes almost perfect sense for other races of people to when they have a lot of black friends to sort of assimilate being black, you know, like and it's not something I fault anybody for either.
Yeah, I think it's important to talk about it that way because, again, some of my grievances with, or I should say it on air, like, it's good that discussion is happening. It makes sense, and like, I get outraged and upset and irritated too, but the stuff isn't simple, and I hate trying to oversimplify everything or like put a little bow on it. Um, Systematic racism in America. Yes. Racial injustice. Yes. This whole white supremacy thing, that's the part where I'm like, this is I I don't know if like this is how it should be, like jumping to that conclusion. And I'm not even saying that's not what's going on. Um Help me out here, Basher. Like I guess the point I'm just trying to say is like I don't like it when people are like, well, there we go, white supremacy, that's a thing, and then like that's another hashtag that we can put, or that's like something that we could just like scribble on like a cardboard sign and like go protest some more because we've talked about before too, like I don't know how much protesting works, right?
Protesting does not work.